Andy tells Paige that Craig has sperm on ice too. Why? Why are you telling them that? Why are you telling her that? That's so fucked, Andy. Why would you say that? Why would you say, by the way, Paige, Craig has his ice on sperm on ice too? Not funny, friend.
It's
not
weird.
Your business. Not appropriate. She doesn't want it to be her business anymore. It's not her business anymore. And no one else in that room needs to know, nor do we who didn't watch Southern Charm. So no more.
Welcome, friends, to Reality Test. What is reality testing, you may ask? Well, it's something we all do every day, maybe with our loved ones over dinner, with coworkers at the water cooler, etc., when we check our subjective or personal emotions, thoughts, and so forth against objective or sort of more agreed upon fact-based reality. Although, because Dr. Ray and I, Dr. Kay, are social constructionists, we don't actually believe there's one true objective reality, but rather our own personal versions of it constructed in the context of relationships. But you get the idea. So here in Reality Test, we're going to be testing the castmate realities and the producer antics of our favorite reality TV shows against what we know as licensed psychologists about the reality out here, off of our TVs. We hope you'll join us as we attempt to reality test. That's it. Thanks, y'all. Now check out our campy theme song.
Are you feeling stressed? Your head's all messed? Well, let's forget all the rest. Fuck it, we're blessed, cause it's time to talk reality test. Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome to Reality Test. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Dr. Kay. Feel free to check in and take a seat wherever you like. We're heading on over to the Hamptons one last time. Well, not truly. I bet they're in New York, but right, the studio. Still, we're heading back in our minds to mentalize the Hamptons together with Summer House Reunion, Part 1 and 2.
We are, and a lot has happened, and also not happened. It was kind of a mild summer for the Summer House crew, but there was still some good stuff, and definitely some stuff we want to unpack.
Exactly. There's definitely like on-screen, off-screen drama, if you will. Some like personal dynamics, intrapersonal and interpersonal in couples. So it's kind of fun. The relational content we love so much.
Mm-hmm. And I do love that group. They're a fun group of people to kind of watch and how they shift and change over time.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that too, I suppose we should give the context that y'all may or may not have, which is that Paige DeSorbo is leaving the cast. So she's no longer on the show after this reunion here, which is a bummer. But she's
she's so funny. Oh, sorry, I just cut you off.
No, please, I would like you to say something.
So funny, so engaging, so herself, and such like a loyal friend. Like she really like is loyal to the people who she loves, and I think that is lovely. It's lovely to watch.
Yeah, beautiful trait. Lovely to see how she does it and how she backs her friends, even if she doesn't agree with them or whatever it might be. She brought that up in this episode, which I really liked. So we'll come back to that. But yeah, she's been a delight. I think she's also very psychologically minded. And it's been nice to hear her talk about that. And relational. And it's great. So we'll miss you, Paige. Hopefully on to bigger and better things, maybe with her podcast. And the other thing about the changing faculty cast, is that Lindsay said that she'll be there a little bit next season with her baby. So we did talk about that briefly. Like, what are we going to do? How is this going to change now that we have a mama on cast?
Yeah.
So it's a little answer to that.
I think she should join Real Housewives of New York. I think she's very well positioned for that. And I think would be a great housewife.
Yes. Yeah. She would definitely be a good housewife. I love that. Nice. So that's updates from them. How about an update from you? Dear Dr. Ray, what is on your heart and mind today?
Well, I got married. And y'all, it's Dr. Kay and I were talking about it for like the last hour, just kind of rehashing the wedding. And it was, it was so much fun. The lead up, the week before, I'm not going to lie, I was stressed. There was a lot going on. But we got there, and I have to say it was really lovely, to integrate a lot of people from different parts of my life that I really care about. Like there's something really special about that. And so it felt really cool. And I think it went, of course there were some bumps as there is with anything, but overall it was just a really fun day. And so I'm still smiling from that. And it was so lovely to have Dr. Kay be a part of it. And yeah, it's just really special.
Oh no, I was so touched to be there. So to be invited, to get to be there to celebrate you both. And it was just such an incredible event. Like really amazing.
Aw.
It felt so smooth to the audience, if you will. And really, it was so gorgeous venue. Lovely people, loved meeting new people, loved your friends. So it just was like absolutely so fun and meaningful and beautiful on top of that.
Yay.
Yeah. Yay. And then you went on honeymoon.
We did, and we had a blast. Got a little food sick. Y'all don't eat the street meat, especially if you're not used to eating meat. But we pampered ourselves for the last couple of days because we saved so much money by getting a little food sick in our middle component. So we were pampered, and that was lovely. And that was kind of a different experience that we probably wouldn't have had otherwise. So all good. And it was lovely to be away, and it's lovely to be back. At least here, you know, the day job, it's a little more rocky, but I am happy to be back here. Not that there's anything wrong with the day job. It's just, you know, it's a little less focused on reality TV and fun. It's a lot more like, you know, just email responding and stuff like that. That is less enjoyable.
Right. And managing others' affect and alarm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All
Totally
day, every day.
It's hard not to get like a little bit of a hangover or like it's like the post-Christmas blues or something, but post-travel blues, you know, when you go to, especially I feel like Europe in some way because it's so rich and so engaging. But yeah, like tropical places too. It's hard not to get a little bit of a whiplash really, but for coming back and be like, why do I do this again? Why don't I just like live in Europe and backpack through it?
Right. And just, you know, not care about anything.
Exactly.
Because I think traveling is a great reminder that some of the stuff that on a daily can feel really stressful is actually not that big of a deal. And that's what it does for me. I think that's I love seeing how other people live and what other people kind of do with their days in different cultures. Yeah. And it's just, for me, it's always really helpful to like put my life and my choices in perspective. So.
Yes, that's so true. And sort of thinking about like, what if this person, like looking at this person in their daily life, what if they were facing this issue? Like, what would they say? Or like, what if this is, you know, instead of this thing I'm worried about, I was worried about where I'm going to get my baguette for the morning, or you know,
right?
It's so nice,
right?
Yeah.
Or what if I had a whole summer off, or took a nap midday, or you know, or drank wine every evening, or you know, or had dinner at 10 o'clock at night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go to the pub after work every day. Get have cheese and crackers as dessert, not as an appetizer. What a delight!
Wow,
that's France.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, there's so many ways to live, y'all, and we're just doing one of them here in the States. That's not going great right now, but that's another story.
Oh gosh, and is it ever a story? It has got to be fiction. It has just got to be fiction.
Well. Speaking of that, or maybe not, how are you doing?
Hopefully not.
Dr. Kay. Yes. What is on your mind and heart today?
The weather's been beautiful. That's been a delight. I know we often actually bring that up as one of our check-ins. So I'm going to add to that a little flourish, which is that my gardens are blooming. They're in bloom. So I'm going to move this. Okay. Yay. So you have to see the video version to see this, but you have here peonies of a different sort, and then also 2 different roses, like this is and this one.
Oh,
these are roses.
My God. Those literally look like fake flowers.
Oh, they're
so
fake?
beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm like so happy, and they smell so good. Just like, you should see. Actually, Dr. Ray is going to come visit me and see the garden soon. So when you come, you'll see how many bushes are like really ready to pop. Some of them have popped even just since yesterday. So I'm so excited. It's my favorite season for flowers. I have these beautiful peonies.
Yay. It's so satisfying to like see things come to bloom too. And I'm so excited to see your garden.
Yes, you must. Yeah, I have like literally like a peony garden and a rose garden. And we have other gardens for veggies and things like that. But for my personal flower garden, just peonies and roses. Do you think, was this one of the vases at one of the tables at your wedding? I think I saw
Yes. Target. Target,
Yes,
right?
I love that.
It was like a
Absolutely.
$3. I
Yeah,
thought it was
in
so
the-
cute when I saw it at Target, and I was like, I must own this. It's so cool.
Literally, same. Yeah, it was like the dollar section, the dollar to or like the dollar store
Yeah.
section of it, which is like, by the way, the most addicting thing about Target. But yeah, I saw it, and I actually had a thought where I was like, this could almost like be a good like wedding gift, or like like, and I love that because you would have loved it because you liked it
I
for
would have
yourself.
been like a set. Yes.
Exactly. So that's so funny. But I ended up deciding actually I want it. So sorry, Rachel.
Yes.
Keeping it.
It is a beautiful thing. Yes.
Now we can be
I love
twins.
their dollar section. And I think we both use it for fidget toys too,
Yes.
because clients get fidgety sometimes.
And I have like a whole basket. Sometimes I need to cycle through, get rid of some old and get some new. And Target's a great place for that. I love it. So what a delight then.
Beautiful
Some
stuff.
little anti-stress things, gardening and fidgets.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
Indeed.
And I'm excited.
yes.
I guess also that you're coming to come out, hang out soon. So that'll be fun too.
Yay!
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be a blast. I am so excited. This is the summer of like making plans last minute. And I love it because like sometimes when you have plans months in advance, it's like they're not as spontaneous or fun, but it's like, it's fun to be in a summer place where I can be like, hey, let's hang out this weekend.
Exactly. Not have like be juggling work that you're going to have to start early the next day, or like that you have to do over the weekend, asynchronous work that you're behind on.
Right. Yes. This feels like a balanced, fun summer so far, knock on wood.
Yay.
After the wedding, which was not balanced, but that's okay. It was in the best way, not balanced.
Yes. Yeah. It physically cannot be balanced. It may not. Cannot, may not.
No. I was determined to be chill. And then that week before, I was like, I am not chill. This is stress. It was like my stress levels just spiked. And I was like, it feels like everything's on fire. I know it's actually not, but it sure as shit feels that way right now.
Let's just have the fire extinguisher out just in case. Get one right nearby.
Yes, I am ready for any threat to how this day is going to go. Very overly prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's hard, like even in the moment, it could be hard to like implement it, like any sort of fire extinguisher equivalent or metaphorical fire extinguisher. It's hard to know when to put it into use, whether you should do it, how long you should be doing it. Your normal skills for stress management and people management are just really out the window. Can't rely on them.
I was telling Dr. Kay, I felt like my social skills were at like a 4. Like I just felt almost nonverbal. But I had, during my pre-party, the wedding day was fine. The pre-party, I took, I think like 3 breaks where I went upstairs and just chilled with a small group of people because I was like, I can't do this right now. I just can't. And it was fine. And I don't even think people noticed.
No. Yeah, exactly. And you do need some of that, like really. So to any future brides out there, definitely do that. Don't feel bad about it. And actually, I think everyone gets it. Like even if they did notice that you were missing for short periods of time, people would be like, right, that makes sense. You can only do so much of this before your brain is fried.
Yes. My social battery is only so big. But speaking of other people whose social batteries are of various sizes, leading them to act in weird ways during their summer, shall we get into our? That was a stretch of a transition.
I loved it because you kept like adding a little more context, a little more context.
It was like we're not there. Let's see if I can land this plane. It was a rocky landing, but we got there.
You did land it. That's amazing.
Yes, should we go into Summer House? I guess, how do we want to do this? Do we want to do it by page?
Yeah, I like by page. That's perfect.
Perfect. Well, would you like to start, my dear, or would you like me to start?
I think you should get us going.
That sounds great. So we'll start with Summer House Part 1. Started with the cast intros. Wes brought notes this time. Andy said Rule will be joining us. I was kind of bummed because I think he was billed as like one of the cast, but he has so been pigeonholed into this orgy guy. It's kind of a shame. Yeah. Jesse Solomon said, thank God. And Andy said, watching the show, Paige, you seemed headed towards a breakup for a while during the show. How much did you share with him? And she noted, we've had these conversations for a year. We broke up in February for a whole weekend, which I had no idea. They certainly didn't share that information. Yeah. And Andy said, so what surprised you most about the reaction to the breakup? And Paige was like, I tried everything to have a breakup that wasn't team me or team him, but he wasn't going to let me go easy, which maybe, I don't know. I think that she too was thinking a lot about how this was going to be perceived and was going to lead with that. I do. I totally really agree. Like Paige. Yeah. Totally agree. I don't necessarily think she was going to put anything aside to protect Craig in this necessarily.
Yeah. Right. And how can you avoid a team me, team him? Like, there is no avoiding that. It's by nature what humans do. And I think also on top of that, we're such a polarized culture right now anyway. Like Trump, not Trump, or whatever, you know? So I think just to expect that would be avoided in some way because you had a nice post is, wild. Unrealistic.
Wishful thinking.
Yes.
So, yeah. And she said, when he was on vacay being single, I told him I was going to release a statement. And she doesn't believe he ever got an engagement ring. I wasn't thinking about that before, but when she said it, I was like, that's probably true. I kind of believe her on that one.
Me too.
And then Carl says you can't return them. Or he said, like, that they devalue a good amount once you buy them or something.
Yeah. And I think someone else said you can't get them anyway. You can't sell them back.
Oh, that sucks.
Not to the place you got it, basically, is what I got the sense of. Like, you could pawn it at a pawn store, and that is kind of true. Like, a lot of the stores that I've gotten jewelry from, they don't even really, like, buy jewelry back, or at least they wouldn't. Yeah. I don't, like, they've said a custom one. What are they going to do with a custom one? You know?
Right. Yeah. It could, I mean, that might be a good, if I ever have to buy an engagement ring in my future, I might go to a pawn shop because there might be some pretty good rings.
Absolutely. Yeah. Might be a good time to, like, go to one of the fancy ones, like find a New York, like, Upper West Side or something.
Yeah. I love it. That's an excellent suggestion. We will see. Maybe we'll do a whatever ceremony. I forget what they're called. Recommitment, something or another.
Nice. Yep. I think that's right. I'll come with.
Yay! You can help me discern the fake jewelry because I can't tell at all.
Yeah, it's hard. It is really hard. I feel like we just need to bring, like, the thing to see if it breaks, if it breaks the diamond or not.
Yes. So we were talking West and Ciara. West admitted during the reunion that he was deflecting and he got a lot of shit. And he said, I thought I was just describing a breakup. I was watching the season back and understand now why it was hurtful. And I apologize. And I put this as something we have mentioned before. This is not a good apology. One of my pet peeves is when people say, I apologize, because it's so formal and distancing.
Yeah.
Like, it's another way of, like, not, like, I think Ciara could tell more from his energy that he was a little bit sorry. So I think she gave him that one.
Yeah.
But I don't think for her it was what she wanted. Like, if he was like, I'm so sorry, like, I really made this about me and I should have considered your feelings.
Yeah.
That would probably end it. But I think my sense of him is he is, like, neurotic and pretty focused on how he's coming across at this point. Yeah. And I hope that he can grow from that. And I'm glad he at least saw that he was coming off like a douchebag. I still think he's still kind of in that a little bit, but maybe better.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually felt like his sort of presentation and douchebaggery sort of took a little bit of, like, an upwards step just based on the last reunion. Like, he just did, like, a little bit better. Only a little bit. I agree about saying, I apologize, like, get out of here. Just say, I'm sorry. And, like, be more thoughtful. Be more empathetic. about like what she's feeling.
Yeah.
What would you make her feel in that case? How do you make her feel? So I feel like he took like a little bit of a step up in other than that way. And then Solomon took a big step down for me in terms of that. Total douchebaggery all over the screen. Terrible apologies. So we'll come back to that. But yeah, I hear you totally. That douchebaggery was on display.
Yes. Tough. Yeah. Improvement for West, but I think I wanted more. I think I see probably like Ciara sees the potential of someone who could be very self-aware.
Yeah.
Like he's funny, he's sarcastic, he clearly reads situations pretty well and has some anxiety, which is endearing. But I think his neuroses gets him maybe a little stuck in how he's being perceived.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. He also said, everything I've said is the opposite of what I wanted to do, and it sucks. And I know I clearly hurt you, and that's not anything I would ever want to do. I didn't think we were on a talking level. And then Paige was like, maybe that's too much talking. And that was it was funny. And I also felt bad because I know he was trying. And it's like, when someone's trying, you don't want to shut down their efforts. But it was kind of funny. And then Ciara Jesse saying it was extra that she swatted his hand away. And then she said, coming from the man who said, don't touch me, that's extra. Amazing.
Yeah. Yes. So, well, I guess that's for humor. You use that one, but it's like that. It's like a touche moment.
Yeah. She clocked his shit amazingly. I thought that was really good.
So good.
They then discussed, they kind of did a post-mortem again of the relationship and discussed that Ciara had become distant during the holidays. And I see you have a segment here.
Yes. So I felt like, okay, here's what it is. Thank you so much for pausing while I was like acquainting myself with my point there. I felt like, first of all, this was very powerful on Ciara's part, the way that we then talk about her life and the way that her mom's baggage or sort of like, if, you know, emotional well-being has affected Ciara's all this time, really, it sounds like. I felt a little bit like she's probably been parentified. Did you get that vibe? Like she's been growing up trying to take care of her mom and trying to help her find the right way forward that won't do as much damage, I guess, for the mom, but also for Ciara. And it sounds like maybe her whole family. I mean, she doesn't have siblings, so direct, full biological siblings, because she ends up talking about the fact that her mom keeps remarrying. At this current moment, she doesn't really belong in any constellation of the family, which is just absolutely heartbreaking. It was so sad. So I wanted to talk about this both because I felt like this was something that the producers could do a little bit more with, and also that it felt like a little bit of the like using Ciara as something spectacle-y felt relevant to me about it, right? Like I think you had said something off camera about the sort of racialization of things to do with Ciara, even in the even now, like in the reunion, and it just felt really like both. I was so moved by what Ciara shared, and I also felt like they could have given it more gravitas in some ways, where, for example, Andy just sort of goes like, so do you think that's like related to like why you care so much about who you get with essentially, which felt almost like a little dismissive, honestly. It's sort of like, obviously she's sort of saying that, like, let her add like better language to it than you're even giving her. I also felt like this was an indication, and the segment I ended up giving it to was, I felt like that was like sort of a touch of it was producers. If they were psychologists, what would we think would look different? I would hope it would have more gravitas, even though I really loved they gave her that time. She got time for that, and I really loved that. But the other thing I put it under was we spotted therapy, because it felt like maybe it was an indication she'd been in therapy. She's thought very deeply about it. Her mom remarrying was clearly, she's like, it had more of an effect on me than I expected. So clearly she's like still coping with and working through her trauma associated with her childhood dynamics and her family of origin. So I think that like parentification mixed with like feeling regressed by mom remarrying and being alone at the holidays and really needing West, and then feeling like he's also not there. She's like scared to rely on him at Christmas, and so then she pushes him away, and then he reads that as she doesn't want to be with him, so then he does push her away. And it's just like that kind of regressive trauma, you know, triggering abandonment stuff at the same time that her mom is sort of like having fun with her new family and probably posting pictures or sharing pictures or something. I just was like, wow, what a like perfect storm. And I really, again, was touched. She shared it and also felt like I wanted to like care for her more. Like, you know, does that make sense? I'm not fully putting it in language, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Like she was putting a lot out there in a very insightful way, and it wasn't given what it deserved, the gravitas, as you said, that it deserved.
Yeah.
And Andy probably just didn't have the capacity to like go there fully or some in that moment. Sometimes he can be really good. I think he misattuned with her there.
Yeah.
And yeah, no one really picked it up.
No. Right, exactly. It just sort of like went to break. I noticed also Lexi was like, it was so good of you to share that. And even that felt weird. It was almost like she was using that as a chance to like reconnect with Ciara. And it's sort of like, that wasn't for you, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's like that was for me and about me, because so much has been made of my love life and the men I choose. And let me explain a little bit more about who I am and why I get nervous.
Right. And have like, like want to slow down. I want to slow down with men. And it's like, you just think about her having to feel like she needs to worry about her mom's dating habits or like whether her mom's moving too fast with somebody. It's just so much to be carrying I would imagine starting out as a teen or, you know, whatever. And it made me think about how good she is with Paige, which I guess we did talk about that at the time when we talked about her friendship. I think I might have said something like, it shows that she's been doing this for a long time and probably did it with her mom. But she's just like very good at reading and feeling very much empathy for the other person and sort of wanting to caretake and what a delight. I love Ciara.
Yeah. And she also reads and clocks so quickly when people cross her boundaries. Like when what Jesse did, it was kind of nuanced. And it wasn't to be like, oh, why are you touching me? It's like, it is such a rejection and like a fuck you in a lot of ways. And she was instantly like, nope, I'm all set on this. And I feel like that happens like subtle. It's not subtle, but it's like shit like that happens to women where it's like, you're being too much and you're being thirsty right now. You single woman flirting. Like, it's so like, I felt embarrassed for her, but because of her reaction, I was able to like clock why she was like, what the actual fuck? And I love that she was able to take any sort of embarrassment that she felt and put it back on him in a really phenomenal way. Yeah. Like, I think there's a lot of emotional intelligence there.
Yeah, she handled it so well, so smoothly, so clearly. And I totally felt like I, in that moment, understood why she was upset too. It sort of like makes her look like a fool that like you said, it's the like clear rejection, but then it's also sort of like, you are doing this too. And so now you're making it look like it's just me. And that's what you're saying too about the thirsty thing. I also think it's like a trope. It's like racist, like the trope of like both the Black woman being like hypersexual towards white men and like potentially using it to like get power some way. Ridiculous. And then the other trope I was sort of thinking about. Oh, I lost it. But there's another one that came to mind too. And just sort of like the idea that like they don't understand their place. Like, doesn't understand her place. She shouldn't be touching the white person in power, you know?
Fucked up.
Wicked fucked up.
And it's like, she does get sexualized by these men. Like, she really does. They have all like wanted to be with her. No wonder she doesn't want to have sex with them.
Right.
Like, it's like this self-fulfilling sort of thing. Right. And then they go off to be with these white women. It has to feel horrible.
Yeah, it's so unfair and racist. And also, this might be an area where producers being psychologists, you know, could be important. Really doing some more drawing attention to that problematic nature of that. Like, there's also this happens for women sometimes too, but particularly for Black women, the imagery around Black women being almost animalistic. And again, this is like more so Black folks, but also for women in general too. But then that makes it especially women of color, of being animalistic and unable to control their urges, like not just because they're hypersexual, but because they're animalistic. And therefore, like, that just sort of, again, dehumanizing, objectifying, really, like, that's something they should talk about. And I would hope really that, at least in the reunion, they might be able to touch on some of the tropes that are getting pulled up in the way that she's being reacted to, both being sexualized and being rejected as like not knowing her boundaries, not knowing her place.
It's awful. Yeah. And it's like, I would imagine for her, she has to choose her battles, like, because of the way that she will be perceived.
Right.
Like, she will not get the same grace that Paige gets to just be like, fuck off. And, you know, sometimes not talk for half of a reunion or not look at someone or not say her ex's name right, ever again.
Right.
You know, she can be petty as fuck and it's coded as like, oh, she's a feisty Italian. How cute. Like, it's a very different sort of coding.
Yeah, that's so unfair. And it's something they don't really talk about. And I would love to see them talk about it. Paige and Ciara.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, thank you for that segment. And then West said, when that time came with Christmas, you turned off your phone for weeks. And Ciara noted, I went to Costa Rica. Honestly, I tried to forget the holidays. I think she mentioned it was a retreat. So I coded that as maybe talking about therapy too. Like maybe that was some sort of therapeutic retreat.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, so that was a mention of therapy. And she noted that she wanted to forget Christmas. She wanted to forget it was her birthday, which like broke my heart.
Painful.
She noted, I was trying to communicate a little bit, but I didn't want to be a burden and make him feel like he had to bring me home, which is hard. I mean, he has said before that he didn't want to be with her, right? So she was picking up on something. And so I think it's convenient for him to be like, well, you weren't there or you weren't talking. Like, I think if he would have shown up more, I think she would have met him with that energy.
I totally agree. It was his cop out to be like, oh, like you weren't answering. I feel like as soon as she wasn't answering, he was like, okay, good. Now I can use this, like during the thing. It was so crummy. And I also feel like poor sweet Ciara, who's like just being totally abandoned while also feeling so deeply about all of the other abandonment.
Yes.
Bad mom. Yeah.
Anyone would be so fucking lucky to be with her.
Truly.
She also said her dad and she don't talk. Sure. Her mom and she said, my mom and I haven't talked about anything yet, but we're better with each other. I feel like she expects subpar and should be better to herself. So talking about how she relates to men. She noted, I was definitely cautious. It made me more guarded about men. All I wanted was my parents to be married and get along, and everything unraveled. So it helps, or it causes her to wonder about her future family, and what qualities of a man she might have missed. And she noted, I don't want to duplicate the things I went through. And West said, I just wasn't there. I've had a lot of relationships fizzle out in shitty ways, and I thought I was breaking up at a time that was the respectful thing to do. And I thought it would at least help us salvage a friendship, but obviously I've fucked that up too. And I think he also said something about that was the closest he's ever felt to someone. And it's like, dude, you massively fucked that up. Like, it's sad.
It is so sad. And it's so like missing the mark still. Like she's trying to tell you these things and he like just saying that like, what I guess that was the wrong thing. Like, yeah, doesn't that feel almost like, what is the word for that? It's like fishing. Like fishing for her to be like, no, like I understand. Like you tried. Like, but obviously I fucked that up too. Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude.
Yeah. It's like reassurance seeking sort of behavior.
Yes. Yeah.
Like if I name the thing, then you'll reassure me. And I don't think she did, which is good.
I don't think she did either. I loved that. That felt like a real.
Good on you, girl.
Yes. Get it, Ciara. I felt like a real indication that she understood that what he was doing was total bullshit. That's not how you apologize. And that's also not showing any digestion of what you did wrong.
Nope.
Thanks, bye.
Nope. I think she has a great bullshit radar, which is lovely to see.
I love that. I was surprised in her narrative that she talked about how all she wanted was her parents to be together and not fighting. I was sort of surprised by that. I was touched by it, and I also really spoke to the child part of her and the child part of this dynamic that has been underlying all of it for however long. Because that was like that's the first version of hoping for parents to get along.
It's really vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it is your turn. I went a little over
totally fine.
With my page.
I'm with you.
Apologies.
No, I think that makes sense. We'll finish out the section we're on the next page. I'm with it.
Sounds good.
So we go to break. This is the part where I was like, okay, Lexi. She says to Ciara, you were so strong to share all that, Ciara. Yikes.
It was just a myth.
Yeah, like you're trying to okay, as a white person, you're like validating her as if you like have the right to be like, well, that was great. Like, you're so strong. And then the use of it to say so strong as a Black woman, using that language at all. And then trying to connect with her over something like this that is so deep and important to be like, oh, like, let's get back to being friends. Like, just the whole thing.
She's just like, this isn't the time for you to be trying to insert yourself.
Find another time, place, and person. And then Ciara is actually still crying a little bit from talking about it, which is really beautiful, honestly. Like, she's letting herself feel. The boys take a pee break. They call it a pee break, hence my use of that language. Amanda says, Kyle has never cried when I've cried, because they talk about how Kyle cries when Ciara cries. Makes a big fuss, like it's just so rare. But then they, while they're talking, like Andy's in the mix here, but he's on his phone, okay? And then Amanda says, Kyle has never cried when I've cried. Andy goes, he sees you cry all the time.
It was kind of weird. Like it was the weird texting.
Yeah.
It was strange.
It was fucked up. Like, sir, first of all, sexist. Second of all, you're talking about like a woman who has depression and anxiety, and like, so maybe he's seen her cry a lot because that goes hand in hand with her mental health differences. And certainly in no way should you be dismissively being like, well, he just sees. Because then the other thing is, like, seeing women as crying more than men do. Like, of course, you cry all the time. Women cry all the time. Like, just that view is I feel so icky. I didn't like it. I put it.
Yeah, I think it gave a little insight into how he might be off camera.
Well put.
Yeah.
I put it as a sociopolitical moment. It's sexist minimum, but it's also other things.
Yes. Absolutely.
Sweet. So then Emerald joins. Emerald's like, they're talking about how he's sort of like known as the orgy beast, and he says, it was tough because I kind of came in with the sex story. And then people are talking about how orgy beast was a term of endearment, questionably. And
I have a
good. Yes, I'm
here.
sorry. Fabulous.
No. I said if producers were psychologists, I wish, because they kind of alluded to how he didn't get really known as anything more than an orgy beast. It's like, that is such a racialized term too. Like, as a bunch of white people, mostly, to call him an orgy beast, it feels so racialized to me.
Yes.
And like the harm that this has caused to him and his family. And like, I feel like the way the season was produced, we didn't really get a whole object sense of Amrul. And that's sad. Like, he seems like an interesting, complicated, kind person. Yeah. And yeah, he led with a certain thing, but he was probably told to. Right. Like, he was probably told to lead with that. Well, so, yeah, it's bummed me out a little bit. I hope he gets another shot. Yeah. I really do, but I'm not sure. I mean, if he was put as not even like a main cast on this, I don't know that he will, but who knows?
Yeah, that's a really great point. Both that he was probably told to bring it in. They're like, oh, they had talked to him about, tell us something interesting about yourself, when they're like interviewing him to see if he wants to join. Well, I have this sex party coming up. Oh, tell us what. Both about that, and then also this idea that maybe he doesn't come back. Maybe that's also how they leave it, because they're like, oh, he's like a one trick. And that's subjectifying what I just said there with that metaphor too. I think it's one trick pony. It's like that. This is so objectifying. It's simplifying, reductionistic. Giving him one sort of like, and very sexualized. Like, we're talking about being racist, the sexualization, and animalistic, which also relates to the use of that metaphor that that came to mind in response to what they've been doing. So yeah, I hate it. I'm with you. I love your segment on that. That's great.
Yeah, I feel for him.
Yeah, it's very upsetting. And it also, as we find out, affected his family dynamics as well.
Which is heartbreaking.
Truly.
Yeah.
So you have to do more than one to be an orgy beast. I guess that's the idea, was like have sex with more than. Okay, so this is right. That was something that Emerald said in response to the people being like, oh, blah, 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 orgy beast. He's like, I thought you have to have more than one orgy for it to be, an orgy beast. And he really, because he brought up the point, basically, that was just that one sex party. Like a threesome is not an orgy. So it's not like the threesome or whatever. So he says that, and no one says anything in response because it's fair. He said that he only brought women home 4 times the whole summer. That's not that wild. It's like once a month. Emerald said, I'm just being a good host, right? Yeah.
Just making a joke. Yeah. Trying to.
So, and also I know you have a segment here and I have a little something here as well. But the one thing that happened during this conversation in the midst of it was related to Carl. So it kind of comes up that Carl is the opposite of Emerald. And I think Andy says your game is the opposite of, or no, actually Carl says it. He's like, my game is the opposite of what I do. Or like Emerald's game is the opposite of what I do. And then Andy goes, and his results are the opposite too. And then Carl says, yeah, he gets on base a lot.
It was gross.
Very.
Something that is so, and this was it was like something I wish more people would talk about is not the downfall, there has been such a change in the perception of blah, blah, blah.
Carl.
Why did I almost call him Colin? Carl. He used to be like the hottest hottie that everyone wanted to get with. It's weird to see. And part of it makes me sad. And the part of it that makes me sad is like when he was drunk, right? A lot of, he's clearly an anxious person.
Right.
Like there was more of maybe he was able to present a different sort of energy that seemed to help him sexually. So I like the way that it gets framed makes me kind of sad because it's like, I'm so happy for him that he's being more his authentic self. But the way it gets like framed on the show feels like almost a punchline. Yeah. Which is, it's just a really weird change. And then the stuff about his teeth that Gabby brought up that is tough too. Like I do actually have a lot of empathy for Carl. I think the way he was with Lindsay was tough, but I don't know. It has to be hard to be in a summer house with a bunch of people partying all the time.
If you're not doing it right, exactly. It's triggering. It's something where, like, if he associates when he was drinking with, like, when he was more popular and having more sex, that becomes even more distressing or hard not to engage. Other people bring it up. I wish you were that fun, Carl, again, or whatever. We see that a lot on other housewives shows or on housewives shows. I totally agree. And I also, in addition to that, I think that's a great point. And I have empathy for Carl as well, in general. I wouldn't say I know as much about the first few seasons, so I don't really have a fully fleshed memory of him. I have done a little bit of going back to try to refresh myself, so I do know a little bit more, but I know more than nothing, I should say. But it's a non-zero number, but it's not high. But what I had about this moment was I didn't like him saying he gets on base a lot. It's gross. It's like sporticization. It's weird. Yeah. Sportization of our language, where really it's like, again, a kind of objectifying. It's a type of objectifying. So what does that make us? Like a ball? We're like a softball or baseball, and you have the bat. Like, great. So,
not good. No. Yeah. Weird stuff.
Yeah. So then Andy goes ahead and asks Emerald about his family, and he says mom and dad are in Bangladesh. Didn't really see it. Brother had a party for my only nephew, but my sister-in-law's sister-in-law did tell him that wouldn't. So let me try that again. Right, but the sister-in-law wouldn't let him come because they saw the show. He's like bringing up the fact they're religious. He also brought up the point that he didn't feel like he did a good job connecting with people, that he felt a little bit uncomfortable. I was actually kind of impressed by him. I felt badly because it's almost like he's like self-victim blaming, but he brought up sort of like that there were ways in which he learned he could have done better at connecting with folks, so he didn't just become like a punchline, frankly, for him as well. Lexi kind of says, no, like, really, we could have done better too. And she said, we could have asked more about you. Obviously, there's more. She goes, obviously, there's more to you than the orgy beast. And Emerald said, I think so.
I think that was a nice Lexi move too. Yeah. And maybe she understands as a fellow, like, first timer.
I totally agree. Because that's the whole thing. It's like now she can relate to him. And meanwhile, we're seeing how Jesse can't relate to her. Like now that he's a second year vet, you know. So it's nice that she can have a moment. Which brings us so nicely to the Jesse Lexi of it all.
Ooh.
So
Yay.
it's brought up that it took one weekend for them to start acting like they're practically married. Andy says to Jesse, have you been in love before? Once in high school. And to whom he lost his virginity, really. He kind of raised that. I will say something we've mentioned before. I take credit for this one. I did like have a whole thing last time where I was like, I feel like he's never dated anyone else. If he did, it was like one of those early ones that doesn't really count. You know, and so therefore this matters more and is new to him. And certainly he looks quite immature and because of that. So turns out we were right. And he says, therefore this was a big deal. And he felt like he was falling in love with her. And so then Andy asks Wes, have you ever seen him fall head over heels like this? Yeah, Paige and Ciara. True. Very true. I didn't like that Jesse was like, yeah, basically people one of the viewers was like, do you like her even, or what's the deal? I liked her eyes, her smile. She was really nice, outgoing. Ew. Shallow, physical appearance. Ew. So they bring it back around to Toegate. Emerald brought 2 girls for the first time instead of 1. I don't know if they said that or if I just like remembered that, like I sort of thought of that as how much impact that has. Right? Why isn't that being brought up if it wasn't? The first time he brought 2 home was this time when like Jesse happens to also be wanting to get in on the action.
Right. I would imagine that Jesse was flirting with the other person at the club and then she came home too. And that's why he's like, I'm going to go see what's going on with there.
Exactly.
Or see what's going on in there.
Exactly. Feels very relevant that it's the first time too.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you go in there, dude? And the chances are that they'd be fucking when you went in. Yeah, 50-50 shot. Amanda jumps in and says, I think we knew they were done though. Right? Like the girls are sort of jumping in and trying to help Jesse. So, then he says, Jesse goes, the girls were happy to see me. What does that mean? They had boners? Like, what is the point here? Like, obviously they didn't have boners the way men do, but like, what? They were happy to see you. How is that relevant, A? And B, like, doesn't that prove everyone's point? Like, aren't we talking about how that became sexy time pretty quick? So, yeah. The girls were happy to see me. So Andy goes, so it was a schmooze? It was a schmooze? And he goes, yes, it was a schmooze. A 37-minute schmooze. What the fuck's a schmooze?
There's no way.
Yeah. What is that, though, by the way? Like, I know, like, schmoozing, when you schmooze, you're just sort of, like, people, like, you know, what's the word? Like, networking, kind of. Is that what it is?
Like, being charming. I think that's all it means in this context.
So bizarre. Okay. Was anyone wearing clothing? We know that no one was wearing clothing except Jesse. They're naked on the bed. He got in the bed. He said, I was just joking when I said I'm hard, and I'm hard. Lexi's not pleased about this, and I'm down for it. I have a segment here as well. Lexi said, Jesse could say anything. It's just a joke. And Gabby goes, yeah, he's just a boy. You know, is it sort of like imitating him? And I put a sociopolitical segment on this business because absolutely it's so true. And I think it's an important thing that goes both ways. Like, boys will be boys as a phrase is very much sexist in both directions. Like, sexist in one direction and, you know, gender biased in the other, where it creates some oppressive features. So for boys, it creates this oppression around the idea that they are going to be dismissed as like, oh, boys will be boys. Or like, they're sort of like dismissed as like always going to be young and mischievous when some of them aren't that mischievous or whatever it might be. But more importantly, the actual sexism is around for girls. The idea that things can be dismissed for boys that won't get dismissed for girls. If a girl does that behavior, it's a big deal. And so that was the big piece here and very important element of that particular phrasing and pointing out sociopolitical stuff. So, right? Don't you think? Both.
Yes, it was a great like read for Gabby because he does make a joke out of everything and gets away with a lot, frankly.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So last little bits of this before we head back to your side of the notes. So there's an audience question saying, like, I've done some math and I think a toe suck should last no more than 30 to 90 seconds. 90 seconds. So what was the rest of that time? 37 minutes. Jesse was like, well, we were talking, hanging out. So then Andy goes, so there was foreplay, there was chat. Like, that's a little different than what he's saying. Foreplay is like, so, but Jesse agrees ultimately with it. And then Lexi is upset that he lied to her about it. Jesse says, I'm sorry for that. It was the wrong thing to do. Put a pin in that. I'll come back to it. But that's the last thing I have for my section.
Yes. Fabulous. Yeah. He... I don't, and like on rules, like I have no reason to vouch for him. It's like, yes, you do. You didn't connect with anyone this summer and you want to show you're a boy's boy or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you have plenty of reason to help him out or vouch for him.
Fuck yeah.
So I don't know.
Including just that Jesse probably said, you have to have my back, you know?
Yeah.
Like bro code or whatever. That's like honestly enough for him to feel like he has to vouch for him.
Right. And he's in a like power down position because it's his first season and he kind of had a like rough time.
Yep.
So then the show did the montage of Jesse and Ciara. And Andy said, you previously said you and Ciara were just being friendly. Yeah. And he said, yeah, watching it back, I do think it crossed a line a little bit. I didn't realize how it was coming off and being perceived. And I should have taken Lexi's feelings into account. What about Ciara's?
Yeah, the fuck.
Yeah. And it's kind of mean. There was no intention to do anything with Ciara. It was just a friendship. But I watched it back and I understood.
Yeah. That's trash. To me, it's like
Wes said,
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, please. No, you continue because I'll bring it back later.
Yeah. Wes said, how did it feel Andy said, Wes, how did it feel to watch Jesse say it would have been different if you hadn't called dibs? And he said, like, I didn't call dibs. He was speaking metaphorically. Also, again, it's turning Ciara into an object. It's just gross. Yep.
I didn't like it. I said, this is a sociopolitical issue.
Mm-hmm. And Paige said, to be fair, we said to not date this man. Paige said that to Lexi, like, because I think Lexi kind of intimated or maybe even directly said it was hurtful to watch you all kind of encourage this sort of thing to happen.
Right.
And I get where she's coming from. I do. And they probably have more loyalty to Ciara than they do to her because they know her better. So I see the complication there.
100%. And more loyalty to Jesse than to Lexi too.
Right. Yeah, which kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah noted she doesn't feel differently about the don't touch me at the cancer benefit, watching it back. And she said, don't sell it to me as a joke when it was serious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I totally agree. He should have had a conversation with her. Instead, he made it really weird.
Yeah.
And she was like, and it's not like I was touching him when Lexi was out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And Lexi said, I never said don't touch her or anything. He was pitting girls against each other. We didn't know he was pitting us against each other. And Ciara said, on your press tour, you were coming for me.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of calling out maybe some of her behaviors that have contributed to putting Ciara in the middle of this, which she's like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm. Literally.
And yeah. And then Lexi, I think, said, I am not necessarily surprised because I had a birthday party and I invited everyone and 2 people didn't respond and then hung out on the same day, which sounds like petty when you're hearing it from the outside, but I would imagine like if it's happening to you and you're seeing this, it feels more intense.
Right.
And she said he posted on Insta, I had my birthday September 21st. Ciara said, you're telling me you don't trust me. Why would I go to your birthday? And that, which is fair enough. And then Lexi says, no, I think he was being manipulative. Yeah. And Ciara said, saying we did it to rub it in your face. What the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I like your point about how it feels intense if you're in it. I also think, we've talked about how Lexi's like growing and learning and finding out how to do these things that are relational and social, because since she's been so sort of sheltered with her mom and sister and all that. So yeah, that definitely felt very present for this. So I'm also going to come back to one of my segments about her, because I think that this business is something I would say maybe I would want to do therapy around. So we'll skip right on into Summer House when you're ready. But
Yes, definitely.
So did I say Summer House? Did I just say we'll skip into
Yes.
Summer House? I mean, I don't know. Maybe we
I
should
thought
skip
you meant, I knew you meant reunion.
and also part 2 because we're already
Yes,
on reunion.
part 2.
Hello.
Yes.
Let's get you now.
I was picking up what you were
I love that you were. It made me feel really
good.
good. So thank you.
I was catching what you're throwing. My words are often not precise. So if anyone out, you're usually very precise. But when you're not, I can be like, oh, I understand.
Yes, I love that. I love that it can actually be a language instead of, like a lack of sleep like mine is. Okay, great.
Yes. Like, I know where you're going with this. So Lexi, on part 2 of the reunion, Lexi voices that Jesse isolated her from the house, and saying that the other women wanted to break them up. And Paige, I think this was an accurate read, refers to him as big dogging you because it was his second season and your first. Like, it's kind of like, a kindergartner telling a preschooler, like, I know. Yeah, it's such a kids in the sandbox kind of dynamic. I liked that it was named as such.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, let's see, maybe this was Andy. You felt like Jesse was making you look like a fool, and he felt Lexi was trying to make him look like an asshole. Was this Kyle?
No,
or someone? And who was
sorry,
it?
no, that was Andy. Or no. You know what this was? This was Sweet Lindsay, girl. This was Sweet Lindsay.
Oh,
The big dogging you. Paige refers. Yeah, it says right there. Paige refers to him as big dogging because it was the second season of your first. And then Lindsay's like, yeah, and you felt like Jesse was making you look like a fool, and then he felt like he was trying to make him look like an asshole, and it became more about public perception at the end than about your love for each other.
mm-hmm.
Which I had a segment there. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you mind if I skip John right in here?
Please
so,
do.
I loved this moment. So Lindsay has this read that's bang on, like really dead right. And everybody loves it. Like, everyone's clapping. It was so cute. I thought it was so cute that they like gave her flowers. And then I also love her response to that was, I have goosebumps right now. And it was so cute. I was like, oh my God. I love that she's not doing she's not being like, oh, like backpedaling. She's not like, oh, no big deal. Or like, oh, this is just one of those things. Or, I could just see her self-deprecating or being too cocky about it. Instead, she was like right on the nose, authentic, sweet about like, thank you. I will take my flowers. I do feel goosebumps. It's very sweet. And motherfucking Kyle, if he does not respond with, that was actually my rant the very last weekend. Dude, sit your ass down. None of this patriarchal stealing of a woman's argument, like read on the scenario. I was like, I hate that immediately. Like, we actually paused it. My husband and I just both like read him his rights, basically nothing like that. But we just like ranted because what the fuck? And then he even goes, even after he's given all this feedback about everyone else being like, get the fuck out of here. He goes, I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but it's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing.
Yes.
And so one thing I thought was like, the least you could do is just say like, I know, but you weren't there when I made that rant. So obviously these are our separate rant, like at least make it clear she didn't take it from you directly. Like, that's wild.
He's so funny. I like it. It feels like the two of them are siblings, but like she was having a moment of growth and he had to undercut it in some way. It's like, don't do it.
Kyle, shut the fuck up.
Yes. Ugh. Yes. Should I continue this one? Oh, I guess it's just 2 more. And I think I have a segment here. And Jesse said about Lexi, she's projecting her feelings onto things I'm doing and I'm not, which is, it just made me mad. Like I think this speaks to something that you said, is that he is immature. I think his, as we've said on this podcast before, trauma kind of stunts you at the point of your trauma. And I think he has a lot of growth to do. I think he's really good about being like the charming. And that was probably validated when he had cancer. Like, he was probably given like praise for being this affable, sweet person who overcame cancer. But I think some of the nuances of social dynamics are hard for him to sit with. And it's hard for him to sit with not being the good guy or acting out or misreading things.
Being called on things. Like, whenever he's called on things, it's like too much. He can't apologize. He's way too immature to apologize. I actually also, are we about to move on? Because I also wanted to say something right now about this.
Oh, yes. This was just a segment about, I would love to do therapy with Jesse because I really think he needs some interpersonal therapy to understand himself in context a little more.
I love it. So I also did that. This is where I was going to put my thing about how I thought like couples work, or even working with Lexi directly, because I'm sad for what Lexi is learning from what Jesse's doing. He's gaslighting her too, by the way. He's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to split you off from the girls. Like, bullshit. We saw him do it.
Yeah.
There were entire scenes where we saw him being like, oh, what's up with my friends? Like, they must not want us to be together. Like, why else would they say that? Because he's trying to give excuses for why the women would say that about him that don't include because they are right. You know, it can't be because they're right about me. It's because they just don't want us to be together. So that's why they make this shit up. So I don't think any of this was fucking fair to Lexi. I think also the scene where they do the rematch, what's that called? Rewind. Flashback. Woo!
Oh,
when they do the flashback to when she was on reality. So like these two gay guys are with her, they're hosting podcasts, and they say to her something like rubbing it in Ciara's face. Like they say a phrase that's like not what Lexi said. And Lexi sort of was like, well, I can see that because like I think a fan said something about rubbing it. She said, well, I'm not surprised because da-da-da. And then goes on to talk about how that they were like rubbing in her face that they were meeting, had a thing. But she doesn't use their names. She's not really coming for them, I don't think, at all. And I kind of felt like that was unfair because everyone at the reunion is coming for her, clearly taking Jesse's side. And also, I think producers showed the right clip the first part of the reunion. The second time, they didn't show the real clip like that, and it made it look like she was really being ruder than she was. But I just feel bad because Ciara being like, you wanted to come for us, like you impressed, da-da-da. I sort of was like, I think you're missing the boat. Like, I don't think it was that bad. So I do feel like this is an obvious remnant of him, coming after Lexi.
Women.
And women, right, pitting them against each other. And she can't, because she is so young and young-minded and young acting, she can't quite put her language around it. And then other women are like, yeah, I get it, but I don't really feel that way. Like, I don't feel like he was pitting us against each other. I just didn't like you. Or like, you did this all yourself because you said this thing, which she didn't fucking say. She just agreed with something they said. So.
It sucks. It sucks. It's sad. And yeah, I agree. She doesn't quite have the language, but she knows something is off. Yeah. And I totally understand where Ciara is coming from too. Like she has been misaligned in the press so many times that it's like any iteration of that is just like annoying. And she's right. This isn't about her. But I think the headlines putting her in it makes it a more interesting headline. So it sucks.
Exactly. It's all about sensationalism and media. Sucking.
Yep. And Lexi did apologize multiple times to Ciara, who accepted it. And the women seemed to smooth it over.
Right. I feel like that. Did you feel like it was smooth over? Wait, was that?
Yeah.
Where's that from? Okay. Yeah. I felt like it worked. So
yeah.
Is this now me?
Yes.
Fabulous. Now, Lindsay's turn. I have one bullet point for this, poor sweet Lindsay. But it comes out, or it's raised that she and Turner put their romantic relationship on pause a few months ago, which we all kind of had the vibe of and understood from basically the media. So, whatever, good for her. I hope she tries out being single and just seeing how it feels, because she seems to be coming into her empowerment era.
Yes.
Amanda and Kyle. My goodness.
Oof.
Wow.
That was, I was kind of like, you go, girl. She was like putting it out there. Yeah. I think they had a good summer on the show, but it's clear that things are not, I'm always 50-50 on their relationship. And if it's going to last, I have no idea. Like every minute I'm like, they've had so many rocky times. It's wild.
Truly. I've always been suspicious of how well it's going to go too. So, I mean, really, like by the end of the summer, how's it going to look? And I actually have to agree with Kyle that I was actually kind of impressed, and Andy, that he had kind of taken in the feedback from last summer. Didn't you feel like that? This summer, he seemed like he had a little bit more other centrism to bring in. Like he was looking a little bit more at how she was doing and other people, not talking as much shit, not staying out at the bar so much as in the kitchen or whatever. So like I felt like that was really nice. And feedback I wouldn't have mind seeing Amanda kind of attend to and sort of give him props for it. But ultimately, right, he still is at a place where I can't even understand who's not ready for the babies. Like both I think, but then both of them are blaming the other person. Like what is happening? So she tells us she had one foot out the door. She was ready to go when things were low. Meanwhile, the last thing we kind of saw last season was that they already were a foot out the door. Like, I don't know. They're sort of about So she doesn't know if they're, or the last episode, I should say, when they're talking about the baby. She doesn't know if they're going to stick it out. She says, Amanda's hoping they'll sell Loverboy. Kyle's not ready to have kids now suddenly. And then she says, I'm not ready to have kids with someone who's not ready to have kids, which makes sense. Amanda says she's in a good place now. No, and I don't think that was right? Wasn't that Kyle who said he's in a good place? Oh, no, that was right. They both did, though. She says, I'm in a good place now, mental health-wise, and he goes, I am too. Didn't he?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So, and then somebody's like, if we don't have it figured out by a certain time, we need to move on. And they sort of like are aware of that as being like probably something they need to consider. And they've both been thinking about themselves lately, is something Amanda says. Each of these moments, I was like, whoa. Like it felt like we were suddenly pivoting and like in this new place. Yeah.
To your point earlier, none of it was given the gravitas that it maybe deserved, because it was a big disclosure and was, I didn't put this, but I now wish post hoc I would have put it as something no one was talking about that we thought they would be, because like that was, because there have been seasons about Amanda and Kyle's relationship. It was kind of wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So then like we're kind of like, you know, back in that place, but like quickly, rapid fire. We're hearing it rapid fire right now in the 2-minute, not even segment of them talking about it. I was so thrown. I was like, wow, that's so much chaos and so much can still happen in the next week online. You know, it's like sort of, and this was already a few weeks ago, of course, but it seems like it's now something that's going to be rapid fire for the summer, the rest of the summer. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that was a lot. I said that they should be in therapy, and I also thought that maybe they were. I know they're at least in therapy for themselves. But I did think maybe they should go together. Paige and Craig. Andy tells Paige that Craig has sperm on ice too. Why? Why are you telling them that? Why are you telling her that? That's so fucked, Andy. Why would you say that? Why would you say, by the way, Paige, Craig has his ice on sperm on ice too? Not funny, friend. It's not weird. Your business. Not appropriate. She doesn't want it to be her business anymore. It's not her business anymore. And no one else in that room needs to know, nor do we who didn't watch Southern Charm. So no more. Paige tells us she's always defended. This is another thing I was proud of. Paige tells us that she's always defended Craig Conover on camera, and that off camera would tell him that she felt like she had to defend him, but didn't agree with him. And I said this in a previous episode where I felt like she does that really well, and that like her role has always been, how do I protect Craig? How do I protect Craig? And that she'll defend him, but then not agree with it, and ultimately go home and be like, here's what I didn't agree with, but yes, I had your back. So I actually liked seeing both the way she talked about it, and also liked it that it was something we've mentioned before. So check give it that one. I think that also happens with lots of folks. So that she gives us a timeline. Honestly, I don't think we need to go over that again. But she also brought up that she feels like she's very real about how she feels in her relationship with Craig, that she and Craig have had that conversation before. So, for example, Andy was like, well, did you think that you could be so real about your relationship with Craig because you knew it was coming out anyway? We were going to see it soon. She's like, not really. Like, we've always decided that whatever, like, if we're feeling something, we're really feeling it, let it go. Like, let it ride. And so forth. She technically said, if you feel it and it's real, say it. Andy said, are you purposely not saying his name? Absolutely. He'll never hear me say his name again. What did you feel about that?
I thought it was a bit much. I mean, I don't like saying it that way. That feels sexist. It's just like, he was your ex. You were together a long time. I think it paints him as like this villain that I don't think he is. I don't think he's a saint. I think he's a complicated human with a lot of flaws. Yeah. And I always, whenever people paint their exes in those terms, I always get a little nervous because I don't know, like you clearly liked him for a while. And I think because, again, she's like media conscious, I think she's aware that maybe that's what she has to do. So, yeah, I just think that she maybe feels like she has to paint him as a villain for people to believe that he was difficult, which of course he was. Yes. And maybe that's not Paige's fault as much as it is just this, like you said earlier, the polarization of the society we live in. Yeah. Do I think Craig is a villain? No. Do I think he was great, awesome all the time? Absolutely not. No. Like, he's a complicated human.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We're all whole objects. We have the good and the bad. And that's the danger with painting him as a villain, is like now you're lending into the polarization that then means you're also all bad or all good to the people on his side, quote unquote. So like all bad to the people on his side. So I think it's not, not helpful to her ultimately that she is doing that, because then it also supports the doing of that to her, if you will. So yeah, I agree. I think the whole object painting, we need to be moving towards whole object thinking. And the other thing, to like your point earlier too, is that earlier when they were talking about it, she's like, when she brings up the point, I was like doing my best. I, didn't want him to be painted as a villain. Like I didn't want it to be team me, team him, but he wouldn't let me go easy. It's sort of like, so then you just like lean into it. Like, so then you're just suddenly going to like throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, I think you can keep modeling for him that you can be an X and still be civil and not try to like have the trolls called on him kind of thing. So yeah, I agree. Paige says she's dating, she's single, nothing serious, came back in February from her tour anyway, so it hasn't been back for long. Amanda says this beautiful thing that makes her start to tear up and cry, where she says that Paige has reached all the goals she had when she first started the show. Beautiful.
Yeah, it was sweet.
I love friendship. That's so sweet. So last but not least,
together.
They what?
Cool.
They've done, yeah.
They've been through a lot together. Yeah.
Exactly. Because you must imagine, like, one must imagine that then she has also thinking about it's almost like baby traumatic. Like, you've changed so much over that whole time. It's like trauma that you've gone through together, trauma bonding. And so for Amanda, she's now like flashing back to all of the good times, bad times, hard times, triggering times as she thinks back, but then mostly is filled with pride for Paige, which is beautiful. Lindsay plans to spend time in the Hamptons a little bit in the future with her new baby. So that was the piece we mentioned earlier about how Lindsay may or may not be there a whole lot next season, and that might be how there's a casting change. I'm going to let you say the last bullet point, but first, in response to my earlier point about the fact I'm going to show you my flowers at a random time, but not quite the end. These are the flowers from my garden that got cut off because I forgot to hit record on the video. So in my share for Heart and Mind, I talked about my gardens and look how pretty they are. These ones are roses, and then these are all peonies. And actually I have like a bunch of different kinds of peonies, so they're going to keep blooming in different colors. Thank you all for
gorgeous.
Sticking it out. Thank you for sticking out at this time in the video to see the flowers, and thank you so much, Dr. Ray, for indulging my validation seeking twice.
They are absolutely lovely.
You are.
And I cannot wait to see them in person next week.
Exactly. Me either. And you were absolutely lovely. So take us out with this last thing you had a segment on.
Yes, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this in the last episode and in the finale. I thought that it was kind of sociopolitical, the drinking of the breast milk. I love the like normalization of pregnancy and like bodily fluids that I think this show has kind of done. Like it's cool that they're drinking the breast milk and not feeling weird about it, because it's something cool that like Lindsay's body produced. And I thought that was like a weird and fun and lovely choice. And I love that they brought that back. I also love that Lindsay talked a little bit about postpartum and how hard it is. Like these bringing attention to issues that women go through and like the nuances of what giving birth is like to people who at least maybe for me, I see as like cohort members. Like I feel close in age to these people. It's different than when I watch The Real Housewives for some reason. Like it's different with these people. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was sweet.
Yeah, I totally do too. You're right. It's like a normalization that's really key. And like because where do we see this in movies, right? Is like when the husband in a hetero, right? It's already heteronormative. The husband like accidentally gets breast milk in his mouth and freaks out, right? Like that's how we see people drinking breast milk in popular movies. So like how nice to have like girls going and kind of bonding over it. Even Lindsay sort of being like, okay, excuse me, not so bad. Yeah. It was like really sweet. And I totally agree. I loved that. I also thought it was kind of funny that because they're like White Russians or whatever, not actually breast milk, but because they have the nipple on it, like everyone tried to like sort of swig it back as if it was a shot, but like it's a nipple, so they had to be like sucking on it. Like it was so funny. I was like, that was a fail. You got nothing. It was so funny.
Fail, and now you're sucking on a bottle.
Exactly. White Russian will take a little more than that, but yes. Oh, what a delight! What a delightful reunion. Do you have an overall sort of like hot, cold, warm reaction to the finale?
I thought
Pretty
I
nice.
enjoyed watching it. This was kind of a mid-season for me in terms of I just didn't feel as like engrossed in the drama, but
Mhm.
I still enjoyed it because I like these people and I like the show and I like seeing how their lives unfold. So I'm always in for a little summer house.
I love that. I love that. And my brother has a house in the Hamptons, so I also love visiting the Hamptons and just sort of saying like hello, hello. And not that I've gone there often, but enough times to recognize some of it. So I also have a hoot with the setting, but I totally agree. I think that the friendships too at this age, and like you said about cohort members, they're sort of our cohort members and cohort mates. It makes it fun to bonding with them from
Totally.
afar. So I love that. You're right. Always down for some of that. And I felt like, right, like you said, there's a little bit less of the like enthralling drama that we've seen in previous seasons. And also I think some of it was more mature. Like it was more mature drama, which I liked. Like having a baby or, So yeah.
Going
With
through
that.
breakups, marriages potentially ending randomly at the end of that. I don't think Andy was prepared. I think that's what that showed. He was not prepared for Amanda's statement, which I kind of like that she did that.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, exactly. No, I totally agree. I like that she did that too. There was a lot of like women reclaiming their power on this season.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that spin.
Right. Thank you so much. It's true. Because they really did, like, in many different ways. And I think really in some ways each of them did. Even Gabby. Like, I don't know. There's something about how she like sort of like let her role be pretty MIA. It's not quite the right term, but like sort of below the radar.
Yeah.
And yet
And
she'd
she
like
was
throw little
just-
feminist notes in there.
Yeah, she did. And supported people and supported Lexi.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go, ladies, go. And also I felt like the men kind of sucked. So
Yeah.
par for the course.
Yep.
Not in a rude way, but that has seemed to happen in a lot of the recent reality TV seasons of shows.
Kind of mid, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that I'm like intrigued by is Rule. And
I know.
I don't know if I'll ever see him on my TV again, which is sad.
I know. I was like, why does he have to go? And actually, Sean was saying that too. He's like, why is like even really Gabby, who really did not have much of a role in the season, is obviously she's a longer standing cast member, so that's why it's not actually surprising. But in some ways, it's like with her there, can Emerald also be there? Like, why not?
Yeah. I feel like Amrul was more like engaged in the house than she was, honestly.
Right. So he should be there too. And it's not like we're saying instead, but he should be there too.
No, right.
Yeah. And I also feel like it's because they didn't do that. It's because they made him sort of friend of that his plotline was so reductionistic, and racist.
Yep. Agreed.
So those are our final takes. Producers, take notes. We'd love to see we'd love to see the outcomes next season. What a delight. Yeah. Keep it on with the good work, because it always can use more improvement, as we all can as humans too. So what a delight, dear Dr. Ray, to restart our post-honeymoon podcasting with some Summer House reunion. And next week, we're going to hit up some Love Island. Love Island is back, baby. Love Island USA. So we'll do a little catch-up. We'll play a little catch-up. And then after we catch up, we're going to try to do like one episode per week that catches up on the whole week, because it's really like 4 or 5 episodes. But so they're going to be sort of recappy, sort of themey. We'll see how that goes. So come back and hang out. You can also, in the meantime, find us on Spotify, which is true, but you can also find us on any podcast directory that you'd like to find us on. You can also find us on patreon.com/realitytest, RealityTest. And you can also find us on Instagram at Dr. Ray Pods and Dr. K Pods. Those are our handles. You can find us on TikTok at drdr.realitv, RealiTV. You can also find us on YouTube and Facebook at Reality Test Pod. At Reality Test Pod, all one word, is our YouTube handle for the channel. And Facebook, we have a page. You can also find us on email if you want to just send us a note. Tell us what's up. Tell us what you want us to do. Tell us something you liked or didn't like. Whatever you feel like. Just say hi. I don't care. Whatever. You can email us at reality check podding, PODDING, after the check, CHECK, reality check podding at gmail.com.
And don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and tell all your friends.
Yes, please. And we'll see you next session. Bye, friends.
Bye.
We fucking did it, friend. I'm so sorry that was like so fucking hot mess on my part.
I was a hot mess.
this. I couldn't keep my headphones going. I had to always remember to charge those beforehand because that's a pain in